Sometimes with cars, you just get a problem that makes you go round and round in circles, but you can't let it win. And I'm not going to let this one win.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
Hi and welcome back. Now, if you're new to the channel, this is my Silver Mojo 2.5. It's a 2004 car. It's running a 2-litre Z-Tech, black top with Gen V throttle bodies and an Emerald ECU. And this should be good for about 0 to 60 in about 3.8 seconds. And I bought this about 3 years ago. I bought it for my wife. I thought it'd be really good to go with the other kit car that I've already got. They're both the same model, except what makes that 2.5 is the nose on it is slightly different. But I thought it'd be really nice to have the two of them. We could take them out together. And then when it turned up, despite it having an MOT, I really wasn't that happy with the shape of it. There was a few things on it that, yeah, they were fine and they'd probably last a bit longer, but I just didn't want my wife driving a car like that. And there were some electrical issues as well. So I wanted to tidy it up, and at the same time I wanted to do modifications to the body. And there's a whole other episode in the link which you can go and have a look at me rebuilding it. And then I got to getting this ready for an MOT. And this is kind of the process of what happened. So before the MOT, I still had a few things to do. And one of the faults was in the headlights at the front and the indicators. So I thought I'll take the wiring all the way back to the loom. I will chop off the front, I'll rewire it, I'll put on new connectors, and then it's going to be pretty good to go. So this was the bit that I had to go through and make sure it all worked correctly. And that is the wiring done on the front. Right, I've been putting this off for a bit because frankly it's messy and I hate brake fluid, but the brake lines need to go on and they need to curl over and then go into the bottom of the reservoir. So I need to do that now, but obviously the line will be full of air even when I fill this up. So I need to get plenty of .4 brake fluid and then flush it through the system. It could probably do with new brake fluid anyway, but I don't want to have any air in this. So we'll get on with that. Obviously having to change the brake lines have got .4 in them, which is a really, really horribly corrosive material. It was just something that was going to fail. So I had to put the new lines in. I was so glad to have this job behind me. Right, now we need to get this fuel hose in because as you can see, these hoses are too long. I put them in temporarily so I could get the engine started. But this one I bought with the 90 degrees. So instead of trying to bend a straight hose 90 degrees and then risking kinking it on the corner, I can put this on and then bring the filter right down here and then minimize interference. So we're going to do that. The only problem is this is all now full of fuel, so I want to minimize getting it everywhere. You can see why I'm replacing the fuel line. It actually sort of loops round. This is basically because the previous builder had put the fuel pump in line and put the fuel filter in that sort of little kinked area. And it was kind of the easiest thing to do without changing too much, to just put it back where it was, but use slightly smaller hoses, buy ones with tighter bends so I can minimize the amount of space being used. And it's actually worked out really well. Right, so that's the fuel system in, the brake lines, all new hoses, new cable, new Jubilee clips, add to the list, flush the brake fluid through. So I suppose we better move on to the back of the car. Right, now I want to get the body looking good. It's obviously going to take me a lot of time to prep and spray and all the rest of it, but I can't do that until it fits properly. And as you can see, it's fallen here because it's got no spacers on it. So I need to sort that out and then we can start moving forward and actually rubbing this down and starting getting rid of the filler and, you know, painting it over. So I would like it to look really nice for when it goes to the MOT. Now these are the spacers from the other kit car. I kept these because I thought you never know, I might need them on this one if I couldn't get another set made up. And as it happens, Lewis is away at the moment, so I can't get the other set, so I'm going to use these. These are the 3D printed spacers that I made. They basically make the gap between the metal plate inside where these bolt to and the fiberglass the correct height. So I'm going to fit those now. Right, so that's the back end on. 2 nuts go on the end of those rods there, 2 pins go on here, and then we have 3 bolts down each side, M6 bolts, but you really need to take the wheels off to access them from the inside of the tub. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's kind of the best way to do it. The bit that's really kind of annoying me is this bit here. This panel is part of the main tub. Now, I was looking at this last night and I was trying to work out how I can fix it, glass it, you know, get it back to a good condition. Because obviously now that the body's on and it's just bolting it in place, I actually need to move on to getting the bodywork finished. Unfortunately, I just don't think I'm gonna be able to do that in place, and taking the entire tub off the car is a lot of work. So I think what I'm going to do, let me show you. So this is the panel that I'm talking about, and it's part of the main tub. The problem is, for whatever reason over the years, it's got quite badly damaged on the back to the point that it really needs reinforcing and fiberglassing. However, I'd have to take off the whole tub to do that, as I mentioned. So the problem is, do I do the best I can with it as it is, or do I find a way of removing it from the car? Because all of this is actually held in place. There's rivets at the bottom, there's bolts in here. So none of that's gonna move if I take this out. And this is actually held on by the bolts that hold the seat belts in. So I could just cut this off here, nice little line, and have a removable panel, and then I can fix it on the bench. And you know what? I'm leaning towards that. So I think it's time to get the Dremel out. And that is the panel out. Gives me slightly better access to the engine bay as well, because I don't have that lip on there anymore. But as you can see, from this bit here, and this bit here with the horrible spider cracks, they all need cutting out, chopping back, and I'm gonna be much happier when that's done properly. So at this stage, the car runs, drives, should stop once we bleed the brakes. We don't have the electricals finished for the rear lights, although I have just ordered a new set of LED brake lights, brake stop lights for the back of this. And we haven't fitted the front wheel arches, but everything else is pretty much ready to go as far as being technically ready for an MOT. So now we can actually start playing with some of the aesthetics. So I'm not gonna do the interior yet, because the fluff will just get covered in dust and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the back end off, and we're gonna start rubbing this down and getting this as good as we possibly can. And while it's off, I'm gonna attend to these little bits on the bodywork, see if I can get that nice. And I do know that there is a horrible piece here, some aluminium thing that was put into it years ago that I need to drill out. So we'll do that. There is something else. When I was measuring this all up the first time, when I put the bolts on the back of the chassis for supporting the rear end, I drilled them too high. So there's 2 bolt holes here and here that I need to fiberglass over as well. So I'm gonna check it over for anything else that needs reinforcing, and then it's probably about time that I did the fiberglass bits on this to get it fixed. So I need to do that as well. And I don't really want to lay this on the concrete, so I need to get some more foam floor pads. When I rebuilt the back end of the car and I actually molded together the boot lid, the main tub and the wings, there was a couple little things that I missed. There was still some fiberglass thing that had to be done, some reinforcing, and obviously I wanted the inside of it black. I just didn't want it a fiberglass color. So apart from these few bits, the electricals, the brake lines, fuel hoses, these are all relatively small jobs. Some of them didn't take more than an hour or so. But the problem was I had to get it right for the MOT because I was so convinced it was going to go through. And then this happened. So after a lot of hard work, late nights, and especially like a 1 o'clock finish last night to get the car, I know what you're looking at that makes it look rough is aesthetics, but mechanically everything's there. It all works, except the one thing that I couldn't test, which was putting the car under load and take it for a drive. I was able to run it up and take it to the MOT, and on the way there, it wouldn't go across 2,000 RPM, wouldn't go above 2,000, 2,500 RPM without spit back coming out of the throttle bodies, struggled under load. The last time I drove this, when I first got it 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, it was absolutely fine. And I don't know what's wrong with it. I've now got to take it home and diagnose it. I've put the MOT in for another week's time. So I've got a week to work it out. That's it. Didn't even make it to the MOT. So what has been the problem? Well, we thought the engine was starving. So obviously you can see that the trumpets on the back of the throttle bodies go straight out. So there's no restriction on airflow. There's no filters on it. So the next thing would be, well, maybe it's a restriction on the fuel. So I changed the injectors. Absolutely no difference at all. And you could hear the engine popping and banging and struggling when you're trying to rev it. Well, you know, maybe it's the fuel pump, maybe it just can't do the job, or it's got a blockage, or it's damaged, or because the car's been sitting here a couple of years, it's just had the end of its life. So we replaced the fuel pump as well. That made no difference whatsoever. And at this point, I'm pulling my hair out. So we did some tests with the ECU. I brought over a friend who maps ECUs quite a lot, and I said, look, I've read the instructions online. I've taken the ECU in this. I've plugged it up to a laptop. Not only can I not check it to see if it's got a fault, I can't even get it to connect to the laptop for the software to say, I can see the ECU. So this was just boggling my mind. So I sent the ECU off back to Emerald. They bench tested it, and then I got a wonderful phone call from a woman there, just to let you know, your ECU is ready and there's no problems with it whatsoever, which was great news because I didn't want to buy a new ECU and I didn't want to have any work done on it. So the ECU's fine, the injectors are fine, the fuel lines are fine, the pump's fine, there's no blockage in the filter, and there's plenty of power coming from the battery. What on earth could it possibly be? And there was one morning where I knew the car had been sat for a few weeks, the ECU had come back, it was about 48 hours later, I was ready to get the car ready to test again, and I thought, you know what, the battery's probably gone flat, I'll put it on charge. I got the charger over. It's one of those modern chargers that will not just try and charge the battery, will actually tell you if there's a fault. And it said that the battery was kicking out 4 volts and it refused to charge it. We had a faulty battery. So I went up the road, bought myself a battery, brought it back, put it on the car, and it started first time and revved and revved and revved and revved. And this is something I could have fixed 2 months ago in half an hour, and I was just diagnosing from the wrong direction. So, do you want to hear what it sounds like? And that is what it's supposed to sound like.